Story, reporter Steve Hartman travels the country, steered by the toss of a dart, never knowing where he'll end up next.
The news station's Fred Pfeiffer recently spent 2 days with Hartman on his latest visit to Montana, this time in Ekalaka.
That's good, that's good. Montana again! We were just in Montana! Oh my gosh, okay.
The dart has brought Steve Hartman to Montana 5 times. So often he kids that perhaps he should start looking for a home here. There are only 2 paved roads in all of Carter County, so the drive from Rapid City involved navigating some country roads. Gloria Preuss meets Steve after the phone call, but the real business starts at her home the next morning.
You asked me what was the most important thing that ever happened to me. This must be it.
This must be it?
It doesn't take long to realize that Hartman has 2 weaknesses. The first is Gloria's dog, Zoe.
I don't know Gloria too well yet, but I know that I want a dog just like hers. This is like a perfect little dog.
And the second is going into Gloria's home, the big bowl of candy that's ready for Halloween.
It's actually just a scam we do. We go around the country, just eat people's candy, and then we leave. So we'll be out of your hair in about 5 minutes here.
CBS News photographer Les Rose has shot most of Hartman's stories. He moves about the home quickly, setting up his camera and equipment, and tries to make everyone feel comfortable despite all the lights and the attention.
Yeah, let's clean your lens a little bit. Is that better?
Gloria was in the middle of peeling apples to bake pies, so that's where she continues, going about her normal activities, while Hartman quizzes her about her family, about her past, and her hopes for the future, all the while looking for the clues to her story.
So I've got enough for 15 pies.
15? What are you going to do with 15 pies?
Well, come Christmas time, I make some and give them to friends.
By the time 2 full days have passed, more than 6 hours of videotape will be recorded. Steve Hartman and his photographer Les follow Gloria around for the better part of 3 days just about everywhere that she goes, including here at the gas company where she still works part-time.
So what do you think your story is going to be? Any idea?
I have no idea. I have no idea, because it seems to me like my life is pretty blah and ordinary.
I'll end up settling on something that I think, is powerful and is relatable, that people watching can see a little bit of themselves in that, and something that usually has a happy ending. We'll pick something that shows her good side. I make no apologies that in my stories I look for the good in people, because I think so much in news we focus on the bad in people.
So just as quickly as he arrives, he leaves for another destination. Gloria had hoped to send Hartman to Hawaii. Instead, he ends up in Minnesota. In Ekalaka, Fred Pfeiffer for Montana's news station.
Well, we close tonight with one of our better writers, Steve Hartman's ongoing quest to prove that everybody has a story. And we think this is an especially good example of Steve's skill at finding stories and his award-winning talent for telling them. As always, it started with a map and a dart, and it ended in Big Sky country.
Sometimes it's fascinating to see what people do all day. Preuss.
I can hardly believe that you'd be interested in what I'm doing.
And sometimes, to be frank, it's not. Such was the case with Gloria Preuss. When she isn't making apple pies or solving crosswords, you'll find her babysitting the phone at the local propane store, where she works 3 hours a day just to keep busy, if you want to call it that. And yet, inside this unassuming 71-year-old widow,
Let's go home.
there's an extraordinary tale.
You must have run this story through your head a million times.
A million times.
Her story began shortly after she and Vernon were married. They had a brand new baby, a boy named Philip. They all lived in this farmhouse, and Philip had just gone down for his nap when Gloria went over to see a neighbor, forgetting that the stove was on.
I thought, I'll just run down for a second. It wasn't the thing to do.
Gloria returned to find the house billowing smoke. She immediately came here to the back, to the bedroom where Philip was sleeping, flung open that door, and heard her son choke on his last breath. After 50 years, Gloria says she can't remember much after that, and can't forget it either.
What were your prayers afterwards?
To be forgiven?
Were they ever answered?
I think so, and that's when I come to accept the fact that the Lord needed him more than I did. I've got to hang on to that. It's the only comfort I really get. The things that I love and hold dear.
After the funeral and failed attempts at another child, Gloria resigned herself to a life without a second chance. Until one day, when she says she came to the most important realization of her life.
A child is a precious thing no matter where it comes from.
And with that, 8 years after the fire, Gloria and Vernon adopted.
And Lisa's a joy.
I always knew I was loved. Always. Always.
Gloria now also has 3 very spoiled grandchildren, which explains the apple pie and the smile she gets whenever she talks about them.
Fun.
I could watch that all day.
That's all I can say is they're fun.
Steve Hartman,
Yeah.
CBS News, Ekalaka, Montana.
What's next? Part of our world tonight.